who's as adamant about his or her position as I am about mine, whom you think is sharp. Seriously, we know that. And another thing, we heard him say that... Hey sports fans, Larry Elder here with another edition, in fact edition number 96 of And Another Thing. If you'd like to become an Eldorado, go to LarryElder.com, fill out the form. You'll get a free copy of Michael and Me. That's my feature-length, award-winning documentary on the Second Amendment, where we explore the history of the Second Amendment and how dictators like Mao and Stalin have used gun control for their own dastardly purposes. I also managed to confront Michael Moore and ask him 3 times how often Americans use firearms for self-defense. And 3 times, Mr. Moore deflected the answer. I think you'll enjoy it. Michael and Me, go to LarryElder.com. Now for episode number 96 of And Another Thing. This one is called Leon Panetta Throws Obama Under the Sofa. SOFA stands for Status of Forces Agreement. Leon Panetta now is one in a continuing line of former Obama military and intelligence officials who've now come out and publicly said they lobbied against Obama pulling out all the troops as he did in December of 2011. Recall, President Obama was standing next to the Prime Minister al-Maliki and pronounced Iraq sovereign, safe, and secure and pulled out all the troops, didn't leave behind a single one. Remember, he ran in 2008 promising to get us out of the dumb war of Iraq and ran for re-election bragging about having gotten us out of the dumb war of Iraq. Now comes Leon Panetta's book. It's called Worthy Fights. He said he wanted to leave behind a residual force. Admiral Mullen, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, wanted to leave behind a residual force of 16,000, according to an article in the New York Times. New York Times said that Mullen sent a secret classified letter to the White House urging President Obama, the commander-in-chief, to please leave behind 16,000 troops, and Obama ignored his advice, as he ignored the advice of his central commander in Iraq. He ignored the advice of the central commander in the region. He ignored the advice of Hillary Rodham Clinton, his former Secretary of State, and now we find out he ignored the advice of Leon Panetta, his former CIA head and his former Secretary of Defense. This is the second Secretary of Defense book now that's come out and criticized President Obama for his stewardship of the country. Robert Gates' book said that President Obama, when he was in the Senate, admitted to him as president, as did Hillary Clinton admitted to him as Secretary of State, that when both of them were in the Senate, when they opposed the Iraq surge, according to Gates, both Clinton and Obama told him, Gates, that they opposed the surge in the Senate for political reasons, not military or even tactical reasons. They did it because of politics, I suspect. Jason is from Inglewood, California. As a man of color, I feel both minimum wage laws and affirmative action in hiring are insulting. I find these to be forms of institutional racism. You have said that racism is no longer a major problem in America. Well, what about the mental racism of these practices that still goes on? Well, that's a good point. I think there is something of a stigma when you get into a school with lower credentials because you're a race-based student based upon lower criteria. You can argue that there's some mental damage done to the person that people care about who support these policies. You could also argue that race-based preferences hurt the very people in this way too. When you look at the dropout rate of people who get into school with lesser credentials than others, you'll find a much higher dropout rate. So you can argue that by lowering the standards, you're increasing the percentage of people dropping out and therefore hurting the black community in that way as well. I hope you enjoyed this small excerpt. If you want to see the full video, got to be an Eldorado. Go to my website, LarryElder.com, log in, fill out the form. It'll cost you about $4.75 a month, or about the price of a mocha frappuccino latte at your favorite coffee house. As you can tell, I don't like coffee. I'm a tea drinker. See you next time.